Walt Disney World Resort is looking to respond to Universal Studios' An Epic Universe and respond in a big, big way. But what does Bob Iger say will work? How will Josh D'Amaro get people to go back to the happiest place on earth? Well, folks, booze it or lose it. That's the phrase for Disney. No new rides, not on time for Epic. Instead, it's all about a Mickey Mouse bottle. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we continue to dive into the issues you wish to know about, and we are here to show you what's going on behind the scenes at Walt Disney World, where they are all in on the alcohols. Folks, as we get ready to have some fun today, consider clicking the like button. We'll get underway, and we'll show you the soft underbelly of Disney, which is looking a little bit more distended as they keep revisiting the idea of bar after bar. Let's read this. It's out of WDW Magic. Disney announces booking dates for the Beacon Barrel Booze Pirates Tavern at Magic Kingdom. And look at all these happy people. They're just happy as can be. They look like they're in Epcot. Disney has announced booking dates for the Beacon Barrel Tavern, the upcoming Pirates of the Caribbean themed dining experience opening later this year at Magic Kingdom. Reservations will initially be available only to select guests during Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, which runs on select nights from August 15th to October 31st. Guests staying at Disney Resort Hotel, at any Disney Resort Hotel, can begin booking reservations starting June 12th. All other guests, including those not staying on property, will be able to make reservations beginning June 16th, yada, yada, yada. Here's, I guess, what we need to get to. This marks the first opportunity for guests to experience the Beacon Barrel, which features a 45-minute timed experience. Themed food and drinks, sing-alongs, and storytelling. The tavern is hosted by Captain Mary Goldwyn and her animatronic parrot sidekick, Rummy, and will operate with a 2-drink limit per adult, similar to Oga's Cantina and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And there you can see it, folks. This is going to be a teeny-weeny, itsy-bitsy, not yellow polka dot bikini, but teeny-weeny little area for you to enjoy if this is what you want to enjoy. However, this is not the only, mostly adults-only experience opening at Disney World, because take a look at this. We now have also Geo 82 opening June 4th, 2025. It says, elevate your day at a lounge for guests ages 21 and up, featuring scenic views, innovative cocktails, and exquisite small plates. It's another bar. It's another lounge. But Vash, Disney is not screwing around building attractions right now. They're too busy getting that booze a-flowing, getting those margins up. Vash, are there any other places that people can get a little drinky, a little drunky, maybe even dranky and stanky at Walt Disney World, as opposed to getting to ride things? I love
Dranky and stanky?
I can't say those kind of words. You can't.
Lauren, have you been to Epcot when it's 100 degrees and the booze is coming back out of their pores?
Thankfully, no.
Yeah, well, we should keep that on a. You thought Highlander was bad. Don't go to Epcot in August.
Not only is the booze coming out of their pores, the foul language is coming out of their mouths, and what they had for lunch is coming out too.
I would say the dranky and stanky do sound like they could be two more interesting dwarf.
Yeah, there you go.
Dwarves or droids? I'm sorry, Star Wars man. Can you not say those? Are you so stuck on droids you couldn't say dwarves?
I probably had a couple of drinks. I don't know what's wrong with me.
All right, let's go from dranky to Vash now. Vash, tell us about Disney's rash decision to go straight into getting more and more adult-oriented experiences rather than family-friendly fairs.
Well, the Epcot thing is very, very interesting because you're talking about a park that's already littered with bars. And originally, this was actually going to be a family-friendly environment. And now it's going to be limited to guests aged 21 and up. That's actually a new development that happened within the last couple of months or so with this specific location right here. And I just find it fascinating because it's like, wow, that's the one thing Epcot needed. More bars. Not rides, not attractions, not experiences. More bars. Very, very interesting. This is consistent with Disney's philosophy when it comes to this park, which is the food and drink park. And, well, now you have more opportunities to do both. The other place that you can actually go on Walt Disney World property for for a drink are basically every single resort hotel now, including the Grand Floridian, adding another bar. Again, this is like one of 2 or 3 in the lobby area of the Grand Floridian. Yeah. Now being added to that location as well, and now to Magic Kingdom, which was always considered to be a dry park. I guess Disneyland broke that mold with the opening of Oga's Cantina as part of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge back in 2019, and now we've seen like wine and certain things be rolled out for Magic Kingdom now to add in actual bars, standalone places to drink at that specific park, which was, like I said, always considered to be dry because it was so family friendly, it was so kid oriented. It just really goes to show what management and everybody else is really prioritizing at these parks. Go ahead.
Two questions. First, isn't this bar at the Grand Floridian the reason why they're not doing the gingerbread thing for Christmas?
Yes, and it's taking the place of the birdcage, which was a lovely part of the lobby.
Second question. They don't kick you out of Oga's after a certain amount of time, do they? So they learned that lesson for this 45-minute timed experience thing at the new bar based around pirates.
Right. Keep them moving. That's what they learned.
And lastly, has it occurred to anybody that if you have to make reservations on your phone for this, like everything else, and you're drunk, you're going to get a case of fumble fingers that much easier. It might reserve something you never intended.
Well, let me say this, okay? So, different people have different views on bars and the clientele that come to the theme parks for these sorts of things. Different people watching this video are going to have different views on drinking. We're not touching any of that. What I'm curious about, though, and I guess is where I want to go with it, is Walt was very clear in his desires for Disneyland, and one would assume then Magic Kingdom, which was for those parks to be absent alcohol, and it was for the reason of making sure that it remained sort of this innocent, childlike place. It's not like Walt didn't drink. Let's just get that out of the... Walt was very happy to imbibe, but in his theme parks for the kiddos, that wasn't what he wanted to do. It didn't jive with his views. So the question is then, has Disney just completely given up on what Walt wanted and said, screw that, it's antiquated?
And another side of that, too, is part of the reason he didn't want alcohol in the park isn't because he didn't want people to have a good time. Let's not, misunderstand this. The reason he mainly I'm just, guessing that he didn't want alcohol in the park had to be with the fact that he was trying to make the perfect experience for children. And what kid has a great story that starts out with, there was this time my dad was drunk. And
very true. Very true. Yeah, he goes back to school after they've been down there for a week, and the kids say, so how did you have a great... Oh, it was great. My old man got blank-faced.
Got us kicked out of Disneyland.
You know what,
and by the way, Ron Bradley and I were talking about this morning. When you have more and more places where you can drink, and you have a policy that kind of, well, not officially, but subtly says, don't worry about over-serving them, gang, because we're here to make money.
Right.
If they do say, well, sorry, I'm cutting you off, they just walk to the next one down the line where they are now a virtual stranger and keep on getting plastered. And there are all these videos out now of showing people getting arrested and trespassed out of Disney World. And one guy, I didn't take my meds for his mental condition, whatever it was, but he was also absolutely schnockered. And who's responsible for that?
I got it. Listen, Lou, you're on a roll. You have used schnockered and what did he say? Blank-faced? Did you say blank-faced?
I did.
Yeah, I haven't heard schnockered in years.
Listen, schnockered and blank-faced, that goes in the Hall of Fame of Hall of Fame.
Aren't they two new members of the Thunderbolts? Schnockered and blank-faced?
Listen, probably. You have won at the YouTube censorship game, Lou. Welcome to the club, sir. You are part of it.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but
it's probably not.
I'll say this from a historical perspective. I remember when reading about how there was going to be a St. Louis park, and the real the thing that really allowed the deal to fall through in the big way was the fact that it was going to be a dry park. Walt did not want any of his Disney parks to have alcohol whatsoever. And so when you're talking about the location, the home of Anheuser-Busch,
yeah, right.
it's like we had to have alcohol, and he's like, no, can't do it, and that's why we never got a St. Louis
and Busch
Disney theme
Gardens
park.
was always about a free beer or 2 or 3.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, we saw that when they had an interest in SeaWorld and so forth, and how that all that materialized. You just I'm not necessarily against having alcohol in these parks, but the emphasis placed on it by management, it certainly shows what they're more interested in, rather than a great guest experience, rather than new attractions, new rides, new shows, all of those things that really people will book a vacation for. It's all about, well, let's milk the customer once again. Let's go ahead and milk the guests dry.
So much of it at the Disney parks is not good alcohol.
Yes.
It's the kind of drinks that are there to disguise the alcohol. I've even seen reviewers on other channels that shall remain nameless taste testing and saying, well, I don't know. I don't taste the alcohol. There must not be much in it. And I'm going, yeah, well, you put enough cheap imitation fruit juice and neutral grain spirits in something, and you too can pretend you're not getting, I should come up with a new one now. Let's see. Getting bar blitzed. I don't know. That's not as good as the other two.
Bar blitzed.
But still,
Lou, we call that margins, baby. That's
but I remember Disneyland, and the Disneyland Hotel had this wonderful bar at the monorail station called the Monorail Club Car, and literally parents would take turns. You keep the kids in the park. I'm going to go over there for a stiff one, and when I come back, you can go, because you would just get your hand stamped and your face stamped on by the booze, and then go back inside the park.
Right. So. Well, here's what I'll say on all of this is the problem I have with what Disney's doing, the strategy that they have, is that Epic Universe could announce, hey, we're doing Zelda. They could announce that, tomorrow. And Disney's response would be, hey, we're selling more beer. Yeah. It's like, no, that's not actually the theme park business model idea. Hey, Dranky at the top, you got any thoughts about this before we wrap it up?
Kind of, but I think it's a little different than your guys. I think the first question I'd be asking is, have they made a determination that their audience and their consumer base is no longer kids? Is it just Disney adults? Yep. So that's question number one. 2, I don't really have an objection to alcohol in the parks. I understand some of the concerns with it, like you're talking about. And obviously, I haven't been there to sample the drinks. And so my assumption would be they're probably going to be pretty weak, cheap drinks, and they're probably going to be really expensive, would be my guess. So I think there's probably going to be an auto-limiting function built into it. The third point that I would make is, even if you still have objections after that, I would object personally to having a pirate review show that doesn't have alcohol. That to me would feel like you're going against.
You got a point there, absolutely.
No, that's a fair point. Yeah,
it's got a fair point, but we kind of expected it coming from a man named Dranky.
Yeah, well, I think Lauren breaks
Sir Francis Dranky was considered a pirate by the Spanish, so
there you go. I think he makes an excellent point, though. I mean, the clientele for Disney has changed considerably, and more than that, though, it's the less emphasis on families, it's less emphasis on experiences that bring new people in. This is all about really milking who you have or who you've had for a while, people who want to vibe at the park and all that kind of stuff. And I just don't know how you grow a business like this by doing that. I understand the monetary aspect and wanting to maximize revenue potential off of your existing clientele and base, but I don't know who, like from, Japan or international parks or Brazil are going to be going to Walt Disney World specifically for these bars. Go ahead, Lauren.
To me, it just feels like they have decided that they're a lifestyle brand, and that to a certain segment that this is going to be considered a status thing. And you may say that this is okay, low class status, but to a certain segment of the population, that's going to be fine with them. And so they may be banking on the fact that there's always going to be a segment of the population that's going to support them no matter what. And if they can target those individuals and continually milk them, why wouldn't you?
Well, and look at how they put these theme bars into the cruise ships, right? There's a Haunted Mansion one, and I think there's a Pirates one too.
Yep.
And that's about appealing to people without kids to go on a Disney cruise, the same way that eventually, I'm sad to say, but I'm certain of it, the casinos will be.
I looked at. It's interesting that you say that, Lou, and I just realized this. I was on the Wish, and I was on. basically they're new Triton class ships, and I was startled to see how small the adults only section actually was. But then I remembered, oh yeah, there's plenty of bars, there's other things,
and there's places to park your kids with minders, so you don't have to deal with them and without doing adult stuff at the same time.
Exactly. So it's like, oh, okay, the focus have shifted from just appeasing adults to actually selling to them and having bars and other different things to maximize revenue potential from the audience.
There you go. Well, folks,
and one last difference too. When you look at these menus that are coming out at Epic, I suppose you could get give me a scotch and soda, plain old drink. But every one of these specialty cocktails is featuring very premium brands of booze in all categories, and they're high end. And what you said, Lauren, about, well, I guess they're probably, high end. It's these things with all the fruit juice and nothing, they may be potent, but they're not name brands that people will go out of their way to try. God, there's one at that bar on top of the Helios that is an espresso old fashioned with Maker's Mark and an espresso liqueur and actual espresso. I thought, oh, I'm up for that, But you don't see those name brands happening except in a few places. I think Jack Daniel's was in the barbecue at the American Adventure that they put in, and a few other places, but not by and large. So,
well, folks, whether or not your beverage of choice is a sarsaparilla or starts by yelling Kungaloosh, we will continue to cover the booze wherever it flows in Disney World, so you don't lose out on the latest vacation news. Well, folks, we've come to the end of another video of pure excellence and fun. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve, that's what we hope you believe we've just done. And why should you believe it? Well, because we've done our very best to make it so. To be true, to be factual, and to do what the mainstream, so-called access journalists simply won't. Folks, you can help share this out across the fruited plains of YouTube by clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, as we get ready to say sayonara for now, we ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep having fun.
Hey, Floral, guess what?
You put a fork in Pro's microwave again.
No, that was yesterday.
I don't know that what.
Oh, I've decided to give up on torturing Jonas.
What? Why? In the same way the cat sleeps like 20 hours a day, that was like your purpose.
I know, but I've decided there's bigger fish to fry.
Okay.
Like Lorne. I mean, think about it. Everybody loves him. He's a fan favorite, and frankly, he has almost no weaknesses I can find. Except that he's really smart.
So, you want to annoy the one panelist without a single flaw, because he's smart.
Yeah, like that winged statue at that fancy Paris museum thingy. I want to break the one thing that everyone loves most.
Right. So, kind of like the opposite of Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, exactly. And I get to see her all the time at family reunions anyway.
You get to see Rachel Zegler?
Yeah. I mean, she's a total troll. Lives under a bridge, harasses billy goats, the whole 9 yards.
It all makes sense now.
Speaking of which, maybe she'll get me... I'm gonna call her on my... I'm gonna call her and see if she'll be in the next Indiana Jones. She should be the next Indiana Jones. That'll totally destroy Lord. He loves Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's cruel.
Hey, Rach. I've got a cool idea for you that involves a whip and snakes.
I love that description. It's perfect.
I know, right? Weird, as we always say.